I'm Allie with Potomac Beads. Join me as I create this spring mix necklace, doing a little twist on using some cones here. And all of these supplies are from your treasure box this month. So go ahead and dig through your treasure box, gather up a couple little extra things like crimp beads and wire, and we'll get ready to get started. So to do this spring mix necklace, we're going to be using our 2 cones from our treasure box kit here. I have additionally some crimp tubes 2x2 in my silver color here that I grabbed from my stash, along with some 7-strand wire. And you want to have some bead stoppers handy because we're going to be doing some basic stringing. You're also going to need a clasp, and a lot of times with cones you're going to need wire and do some coils. So we're going to change it up and not do that, and I'm going to show you how we put it all together. You're also going to want some pliers handy, round nose pliers if you want to, just to pull a little tighter, but really you're going to need those those chain nose and a wire cutter hanging out. So grab an extra clasp, doesn't matter what. I'm probably going to grab a little toggle, and I'm going to show you how we are going to get ready to string this and put it inside of our cone. The first thing we're going to do is create our side pieces. We're not going to bead these right away, but these are going to hang out, into our cone. So I'm going to go in and cut this into 2 10-inch pieces. And again, this is going to be for the sides of our project. After doing so, we're going to make little loops out of the wire with our crimp tubes that are going to go up into the cone itself, and then the wire is going to come out. We are going to take our crimp tube here, put it down onto the wire, put the wire back through the crimp tube. You can see how long the cone is. We don't need it that long. We are going to make it so we have enough room to attach 4 strands more of wire. So just that little loop there. If you want to, this is where I was saying you can kind of hold with your round nose pliers to hold it there. I'm just going to hold with my hand and do a flat crimp, making sure those 2 wires are sitting right next to one another. Grab your chain nose plier and we're going to crimp. I'm going to do this on both sides. And then what's going to happen, which is really cool, is this is going to sit up into the interior of the cone, and it's not going to pull through because of that loop in the crimp bead. But what it is going to do is allow me to attach the strands that are going to hang out in the middle of my necklace to it. So we're going to do the same thing on the other side here. Going in, making our loop, folding that wire back, making about the same size loop to go on the interior, and then going in and flattening out our wire. Once you have those 2 strands, we're going to kind of put them off to the side for now until we get ready to string our 4 strands that are going to come out of our cone. So the 4 strands that are going to come out of our cone, I'm using my spring mix collection here. I'm going to add a little bit more green with some of my Czech faceted 4mm round peridot. And I'm going to do a little bit more of that bright cobalt in with the mixture here. I'm going to take my beading wire, and I'm going to cut 4 pieces, again, that are 10 inches. Put a bead stopper on the end, and we're going to string about 6 inches of beads, 4 strands, just mixing up this selection. If you want to also, for a little pop of spring, add some of those white pearls in, or if you want it a little bit darker, add some of your darker beads, or if you want to go big and bold in the center, or do a little bit of a change up and do your matte and your crystal and keep it nice and frosted in the front. Once you have your strands done, and I have 2 done here, I'm going to reuse my bead stoppers and I'm going to attach these already. Now, the one thing you do want to be attentive to is that you want smaller beads towards the end, because as we have 4 of these strands going into our loop, you want them to kind of fit inside there so they disappear and it's not just this weird little bubble at the end that they all can't fit into. So we're going to finish off this strand here, adding my crimp tube, grabbing my empty stranded loop that I just made. Well, it almost looks like a fishing lure there. Going in here, folding this down, pushing it up towards the top, and crimping those 2 together. When I get to the other side then, I'm going to do the exact same thing to the opposite loop that we made. Going in here, putting on my crimp tube, putting it through the loop on the opposite side, and then pushing it down into your beads. Let it come out wherever you want. Pull it down tight. Not too tight. We don't want to see a ton of extra thread, but I don't want it so stiff. Once you have that there, go ahead and crimp down. I have another strand ready to go, literally just picking up the beads at random. And then I'm going to get 2 more strands strung, and I'll show you how we're going to put it through our tubes. Once you finish connecting all your strands, you are going to have fun putting on the cone, and then I'm making this funking using those big chartreuse beads. You can use just blue beads up the side, pick up some of your delica beads that were included, or even use some more of your peridot. Once you have your strands together, go ahead and put on your end cones. This is also a really fun bracelet too if you want to wear it. Just putting on one of those big beads or making a little bit shorter, putting on a fun clasp as well. I'm going really funky because I love color in the spring, and I'm going with my big bicones and then adding on the smaller cobalt color to bring those 2 colors, which I'm really into together right now. And I'm just putting in one of my bicones, and these are 3mm in the dark sapphire. And I'm using my whole strand of my long bicones here. You can, again, use some different beads if you want to save some of those for earrings. I saved a couple of my mix here to use to make some drop earrings with some head pins. And then at the end, just putting a series of a couple of the bicones, so that way it makes it easier to take on and off your project. I'm going to make it match with 3 at the end, just like I did the other side. And then I'm using a little ball and hitch clasp here, nice and easy to get on, especially for the necklace. I'm going to put that guy on. And then just like we did previously, what's going to hold it down is using my crimp tube, getting it onto my wire, putting it onto the other side of my clasp. And I'm still going to do that flat crimp, pushing the crimp bead back through. It's going to be tight getting it through those little tiny 3mm bicones, so I'm going to bring it out right after. In your stash, if you have a crimp cover, you can throw that on as well. And just go in, do that nice flat crimp. Cut off the extra. And I love this spring mix necklace here. It's fun, it's funky, and I'm excited to wear it. You could even do, again, a little bit more of the bigger beads in with it, do it as a bracelet, and really have it be kind of a show-stopper piece. Thanks so much for joining me in creating this spring mix necklace. I think I'm not going to take it off all spring long. I love the color mix and the pop, especially with this white shirt. Remember, if you want to check out the subscription boxes, get the treasure edition or the kit edition where you get 3 kits, go ahead and look below the video. The link there will take you to our subscription boxes as well. Thanks so much for joining in. Can't wait to see all your different designs. If you want to pick out some lighter colors, brighter colors, or just like I did, mix it all together. Go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss anything from us here at Potomac Beads, and stay tuned for more inspirational designs.